What's going on, everybody? I am inside the Big O and we are doing some updates to the track, and I'm just going to give you a quick tour of the few things we did to update it so far, and then the few things we still have planned before NASCAR Generations racing starts. All right, so up top, this still needs to be fastened down, but at the start gate, this used to be grooved lane to go into the grooved turn, which is also smooth now, but this is now smooth because cars were getting stuck in the grooves and getting sideways. So first improvement we made is we reprinted this whole section with smooth track, so it goes right into the first turn nice and smooth, then opens up into grooved open lane over on this side. All right, the next thing we did, we took out the grandstands that were 3 sections wide. They were slightly over 1/64 scale, and I shrunk them down, and then I printed these massive grandstands. When I was thinking about what is in a speedway, right, a motor speedway, I was trying to put other buildings and things that made sense along the track. But really, when you look at a track, it's just grandstands and grandstands all the way around. So I opted to swap out the small grandstands and go with a massive amount of grandstands. And eventually we'll get, this all filled with people. But as you guys know, because of how the Big O is made with 3 different tiers to show that it looks like it's going around in a circle. If I want to add 1 person to the grandstands, I have to buy 3 of them, so it adds up quite a bit. The next thing, and I'm shooting in wide angle here, before we were lighting the track, because this is all suspended, we wanted to keep the weight light. And before we were lighting the whole track with these LED strips, we had a ton of them, we actually took some out. And we just weren't happy with the performance of these lights because they just weren't bright enough. So I bought these cheap LED shop lights, and I basically lined the whole entire track with them. So it's hard to tell on video because it dims the brightness to correct for exposure. But this is extremely, extremely bright inside here now. And then lastly, so here's our old turn, right? These ramps, the issue with these ramps is they bank in the straightaway. So the cars are getting launched to the inside, and then on the way out, they're causing cars to flip down as they're exiting. So this is the track in my other room, the open track. This is the same turn that Russ's Spoolheads is designed for that track, but it is in the large 44-inch radius for the Big O. Upon testing, we're getting cars running smoother through this section, but because the bank is not as high, as you can tell, like that's a pretty tall bank there, and that's a lower bank. The cars are still having the issue with running up, hitting the top, and spinning out a little bit. So, working with Russ to basically take this turn, which has some curve in the ramps, which help get the release the cars on the way out and start the cars banking on the way in. Working with Russ to basically take this turn, but add more up here to add a higher bank, so the cars have more space to move, and then obviously it'll funnel back down there as well. So that's the update in turn. NASCAR Generations will probably be delayed until I can get these turns all reprinted, and that'll be 3 of them. So that one will stay dual lane, and then these 3 here will be reprinted to the modified version of that, which is running better but still not perfect. And then we'll start NASCAR Generations after I take all of our race teams and glue them back on the track turn, and then we'll be back in action. Again, huge thanks to Russ at Spoolheads Racing. This track is 100% 3D printed, and I literally wouldn't have a track if it wasn't for Russ. So I appreciate him listening to my crazy ideas and making things come to life. All right, y'all, that's it for today. A few updates that I have done. We're adding more people. The lighting is better in here. We're getting the turns dialed in, and rest assured, I'm not stopping modifying this track until it's running smooth and I have groups of cars that are running in a pack and there's no rollovers, and we're going to try to minimize spinouts. The nature of the wide track, this is 1.5 times wider than Crash Racer's track, basically, is Crash Racer's cars go down the track and get a little sideways, hit the edge, and kind of straighten themselves out. But because this track is so wide, the cars have the ability to spin fully around, especially in the turns that are almost 120 millimeters wide versus the 77 of Crash Racers. So we're we're getting the turns dialed in. We've tried the plastic dip on them over here. I don't see the plastic dip really helping. The plastic dip's currently only that straightaway and this straightaway, and not the main straightaways, because we have the finish lines 3D printed in the track, and I didn't want to spray over that. But if we see that the plastic dip is working on a consistent basis, I will plastic dip the whole track. It's just a light texture, still slick, but there's a little bit of grip to it. Or the another option is, going to a merge that goes back into crash racers for the straightaways. If crash racers proves to be running better, that would just be a merge down to 77 millimeters and a merge back out into the open turn. Or maybe even going the opposite way, is using fat track turns. So having your big bang turns open into crash racers, fat track, which I think is over 120 millimeters, like 140 millimeters. Is really wide, which might be a little too wide for the Big O because I don't have a ton of space here for filming. But we'll see. I will keep trying things. If you have any suggestions, drop them in the comments. I really appreciate you guys following along. And we're going to get this thing dialed in, and it's going to be the coolest track on YouTube, rest assured. So I'm going to keep adding to it until it's perfect. And once it's perfect, I'm just going to crank out some tournaments and really enjoy it. So thanks for following along, guys. I really appreciate it. And thanks for bearing with me as we the Big O evolves here. So yeah, happy racing, happy diecast, and we'll see you guys in the next video.